This week, we welcome Sam Straka, a technical product manager at LogRhythm, talk about LogRhythm's next-generation SIEM platform, orchestration, configuration management, and a whole host of topics. It's going to be a lot of fun. In the second segment, we welcome Doug Coburn, the Director of Professional Services at Signal Sciences, to talk about how Signal Sciences is implementing their product at various customer sites, installing, and a demo on using Signal Sciences in a Kubernetes environment. So that's going to be awesome. In the security news, the U.S. government issues a light aircraft cyber alert. Thieves steal a laptop with 30 years of data from the University of Western Australia. Remote code execution is possible, especially if you're exploiting flaws in VxWorks. And what's in your wallet? The alleged Capital One hacker is barely bothered to hide. All that and more on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. Effectively securing your organization and its reputation requires a smarter approach. To maximize efficiency and minimize risk, security experts turn to LogRhythm, the only leading solution built solely for security teams by a security team committed to your success. With next-gen SIEM, user and entity behavior analytics, network traffic and behavior analysis, security automation and orchestration, and compliance, LogRhythm provides security made smarter. Is your IT team ready to face the next implementation or upgrade? Do you have a pool of talented team members who are trained and ready to support your organization's growth? The right IT skills development platform can get you past the IT skills gap. With training content that's so engaging, some even call it binge-worthy learning, your team will watch and learn more with IT Pro TV. Get a free team trial of IT Pro TV today. Visit securityweekly.com/IT Pro TV. Are you an enterprise dissatisfied with overpriced analytics software that can't keep up with modern data? If so, then GravWell is the solution for you. GravWell is an unstructured data analytics platform for enterprises who demand total data visibility across their network. GravWell lets your security team go beyond the SIEM and fuse data sources to correlate and answer questions you didn't know needed to be asked. Go to gravwell.io/securityweekly for an unlimited data trial and gain uncompromising visibility today.
And welcome to the show. But first, let me introduce you to a man who likes it extra dirty. And by it, I mean his martinis. Mr. Posidorian.
Welcome, everyone, to Paul's Security Weekly. This is episode 614, being recorded on August 1st. August 1st, even 2002. I can't. What is happening? What is going on? I can't speak.
Welcome to the show, Mark.
Recorded on August 1st, 2019, right here in G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island. To my left, the illustrious Mr. Larry Pesce.
Well, there is a certain luster. Anyways.
And it's not lacking luster. It's not. You're not lackluster.
Definitely.
I like your T-shirt. It's very nice. Yes. It's very vintage. I like it.
Gift for my sister-in-law for Christmas.
Very nice. You can never have too many Star Wars T-shirts.
You cannot.
You just can't.
Nope. Spilling my martini all over my.
I know I am too. Yeah, they're really full. It's
That's good. It's gonna be a good time. Now are these blue cheese stuffed olives?
Those are not blue cheese stuffed. I was in a rush. I'm sorry. They're good olives though.
Okay.
On the lines, remotely, Mr. Joff Thayer is here with us. Joff, welcome.
G'day and good evening, Paul Asadorian and Mr. Larry Pesce. Yeah. It is good to be here. I had to actually lay down my botnet, literally. I've got 10 keyloggers running and screenshots and all kinds of good shit running tonight. But it's good. It's Security Weekly time.
Only 10.
Joff, did you ever write that Flask application that does callbacks and webhooks and stuff, or not yet?
Yeah, I think you'd have to get more specific, Paul.
More like which one?
Let's talk after the show. I've spent the past 2 months rewriting a Flask application, so it's been a lot of fun.
So you've dipped your wicket in the Flask. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've rendered my templates and adjusted my Jinja and all that stuff.
Wow.
That sounds good.
Mr. Lee Neely is here with us. Lee, welcome.
Good to be here. I see we're already buzzword compiling for the night, so we're off to the run to have another good time.
Well,
We are
have
compilant.
We have to be because
We have to be
Jeff isn't here.
compilant, yes.
Yes, and we have to be buzzword compliant even because Jeff's not here. So
Right. Yes.
Yeah, we should throw a PCI in right now. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Everyone drink. Quick announcements. Some of you have told us that you're overwhelmed by the amount of content that we distribute. We hear you. In an attempt to make it easier so you can tell us what you're interested in, then when we publish something that's within your interest, we'll send it to you. Go to securityweekly.com/subscribe. Join the list. There's around 5,000 people who have done that already. Thank you to each and every one of you. One of the reasons I'm working on code is to support this new system that will do that. So it's very, very exciting. You'll be able to register to a site and then tell us what you're interested in, and then we'll send it to you. It's all in the works. We're pushing new code releases as fast and furious as possible. A lot of fun. Is there another announcement for this segment?
No, I don't.
I didn't really read that from the teleprompter. I just I did it off the cuff. Thank you. So now we're ready to start our interview with Sam Straka. He's a technical product manager at LogRhythm. We're going to be talking about their SIEM, next generation SIEM platform, orchestration, and a lot of other fun topics. Sam, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Good to be here. Paul, I'm glad to see that you're still coding and that your intern hasn't fired you yet.
Yes.
it's coming soon. Don't worry.
My intern probably could fire me. We fire each other every day because we're equal. Sometimes I make mistakes and he makes mistakes, and we're like, you know what? It's a great team because I'm like, we're all in it together, dude. Like when we make mistakes, we help each other fix it, and we had a horrible merging experience. It was terrible.
Dude, you should never merge with your interns at work.
You should never merge local branches together is what I learned.
Oh, man.
Never do that. So we had to, we fixed it by creating an all new repository, which, sometimes.
That's one way to do it.
That's one way to do it, right? And it was the right way. And so
I'm doing his webcast next.
There's something viscerally satisfying about firing the boss.
Yes. We do need some security. That's my next on my list. We need some security testing. So, Sam, if you want to sign up for that, that'd be awesome.
Wish I could, man. Sounds like fun.
It's a lot of fun. It sounds like you have. So, Sam, tell us how you got your start in information security. Let's start there.
Yeah, I don't really have a direct route there. I started my career after college working for a small software shop here in Boulder, in the compliance space. So we were essentially just doing paperwork for wineries, breweries, distilleries, and the compliance.
Wait, of the dispensaries, because you're in Colorado, right? You guys have all the fun stuff out there.
I know, man. We do. It's great to be out here. But yeah, I mean, we didn't work with pot shops back then. It's kind of a weird market just because it's not legal federally. But as weird as this is to say, compliance is pretty cool. It's nice because your customers have to buy from you when you're part of their compliance regimen. But we had a great product and I loved it. The part of the reason is because I got to go to California and visit our winery customers pretty regularly.
That's pretty nice.
So that's a perk for sure.
So is that another form of trust but verify?
Exactly. You got to get their feedback. That's what we do in the product management world, right? You got to go on site.
You got to put a little bit of wine in the glass and swirl it around and sniff and the whole thing.
It was a good gig, man. And so, I kind of learned the ropes as a product owner and a product manager, did some customer support. And, I'll be honest, I learned everything I know about information technology, software on the job. I don't have a formal education in it. But, once I kind of got my foot in the door, I loved it.
Sam, what's your degree in?
My degree is in international affairs. My dad always used to make fun of me and say it was in foreign women, but it's international.
See, I was going to make a very similar kind of joke. So I think I like your dad already.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, we did a webcast with ISC Squared, and we were talking about having not even a debate, but just being like, you could have a degree, you could not have a degree. If you have a degree, it can be in IT. It can be in security. It can
Underwater
be in
basket weaving.
engineering. It can be in whatever. If you're passionate about security, all roads could lead here, right? To being a security professional. And it sounds like that's the road you chose to go down, Sam.
Totally. Yeah. When that job ended, I, kind of looked around the area and LogRhythm stood out, right? It's got a great reputation in the Denver, Boulder area. Got a lot of recommendations from folks that work here that, it'd be a great place to check out. So I jumped in as a technical product manager, starting on our collection side of things. So ingesting logs, doing endpoint monitoring, essentially getting the top of the funnel taken care of so that we can do our data analytics and all that downstream. Now, since then, I've kind of moved outwards and kind of spread out to our platform administration. So making sure that it's easy for our customers to get their LogRhythm installed, up and running, expanded, whatever they need to do with it. And, as we're kind of moving and expanding the way we're able to be deployed, it's an exciting job. So I'm in a good spot, man.
That time to value is so important, and your role obviously sounds like it's fully supporting that, right? And you can talk about this in any kind of market, right? But in security, we don't want to spend, if we spend months, 6 months, 3 months, whatever, or like by the time we get things implemented, so much has changed. So that fast implementation and quick time to value is really important in security today.
And I think you'll find, and we're not exempt from this, that every company and every security vendor has horror stories about awful deployments.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Deployments that just never got set up.
But that's not necessarily the. Look, I've been doing IT a long time now, and sometimes deployments don't go well at all, and there's a ton of factors that play into that, right?
Oh, for sure. But we kind of see it as an opportunity competitively, right? So if we can be the company that's easiest to set up and deploy and have less horror stories than the next guy, then we feel like that's not only good for our customers but good for us as a business. So that's what we're going after, and that's kind of what our brand new deploy project is all about.
And so when we talk about deployment for LogRhythm, Sam, for our audience, like what goes into that? What are some of the first things that people should consider when, I'm going to say deploy a SIEM, right? But it does a lot more than that.
Sure. Yeah. So, I'll talk a little bit about how it works today and really the basics, but, and then I'd love to talk a little bit about what we're doing next because we're really excited about it. Did you guys say are you going to be at Black Hat or just
we
DEF
will.
CON next week?
I will just be at Black Hat. Many of us will also be at DEF CON.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd love to talk. I'll be there too. Our team will be there. So I'd love to see you guys and talk to anybody who wants to learn more about it. But deploying LogRhythm is interesting because it's a big data solution at its heart, right? Our whole goal is to take in a bunch of data, normalize it, and analyze it for the purpose of finding threats and then enabling our SOAR technologies to respond to those threats. But that takes a lot of horsepower, right? So traditionally we've been an appliance sort of based business, which means you want a LogRhythm, we'll send it to you with a faceplate. You get it wired up and you're off and running.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the landscape is changing out there and is changing more slowly in security. I think there's a lot of concerns about where people's data lives and there's all these sort of compliance regulations about whether you can ship personal data offshore. And so, we're seeing a movement.
And Sam, so also cost too, right? We talk a lot about this on our other shows, but for this audience, when you make the decision between, and you mentioned it in your notes, Sam, right? On premises versus in the cloud, there's a lot of factors that go into that decision. One of them being sometimes it's way cheaper and way more cost effective to just deploy it locally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's costs and benefits to all deployment strategies, right? And what we want to do is we just don't want to pigeonhole people, and we want to make sure and be flexible for our customers as they kind of make those choices at a business level. The appliance only software kind of optional game has gotten us so far, but it's really time for us to expand. And if folks want to deploy in the cloud, great. If they want a SaaS solution, great. If they have their own hardware, go for it. So that's really the core of what our efforts are as far as deployment going forward.
What have you found for those that are faced with this decision, that bringing in a new or replacing an existing, I hate to call it SIM. I feel like the term SIM is outdated, right? A security analytics platform. Sam, what goes into the factors between we're going to host it on premise and we're going to host it in the cloud?
There's a lot. I mean, I think one of the most fundamental decisions that our customers make are, do I want to run this thing by myself, or am I going to get some professional help? So you see a lot of, especially smaller customers, outsource to MSSPs. They're wanting to have a more managed solution, not only on the technology side, but also on the security side. Because, if you're a small business, you're doing $10-20 million a year, you don't have expertise in security, and you shouldn't, right? I mean, if you're spending your time securing your network, you're wasting your mental cycles where you could be going and building your business. And that calculus changes as a company gets bigger. So I think that's really the first decision point is, am I going to just write somebody a check to put this technology together for me and just do it for me? Or, are we going to try and do this in-house? So that definitely affects the decision. I think more than anything else is where people want to put their investment from a people, an hours point of view. And then you move into stuff like cost, right? Do you have regulations about where the data lives? A lot of companies we're running into today have cloud first initiatives, where, from on high, not even from the CISO's perspective, but from the CEO's perspective, they get this message that says, no more hardware, right? Like, we're not doing it. We're phasing it all out. If you're buying a new solution, it's got to be in the cloud. And they're doing that for a number of reasons. Really, it's, CapEx versus OpEx. And there's a lot of resiliency in the cloud that people can struggle with, with an appliance.
Yeah, I feel like it's reversed, right? Like, you used to host as much stuff as you could on premises, or you just had it just by nature of the way things are, right? And the timing of everything. And you had to get approval to host things in the cloud. What you described, Sam, was the opposite. That everything should be hosted in the cloud, and you have to go seek approval to get it to be put on premises. That's kind of what I'm hearing. And you're out there in the real world, like, working with people, and that makes sense, actually.
Yeah, and it's not everybody, Paul. Don't get me wrong.
No,
here.
I get
it's
it.
not like tomorrow every SIM's going to be in the cloud, but it's it's moving that way, and so we're trying to stay ahead of that, and that's really the basis of our kind of move here towards SALT and configuration management as a paradigm.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because I've said on the show before, I feel like when we say the word configuration management, our audience starts to like drift off and fall asleep or change to a different podcast or go off and do something else. But it's really at the heart. I truly believe this. Configuration management is really...
Look at Lee's even falling asleep. Look.
I know, right? Configuration management, it's the heart of security today. It really, truly is, because much of what we deploy to the cloud via DevOps, infrastructure, whatever, has configuration that's largely managed by software. And managing your configuration is really about managing your security today. Totally.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And for us, it starts really about getting your LogRhythm out there, and like you said, Paul, time to value. And so that's where we're leading with this thing. It's essentially what we've got is this new little component that contains all of our installers, and it lays down everything you need for a LogRhythm. But by doing that, you essentially have these hooks into your entire deployment that, from the command line in an automated way, you can do really incredible stuff. For example, like anytime that minion, which is what they call them in SALT, that goes, it's different in Ansible and Chef or whatever you're using for
Puppet would be the other one that we didn't list.
Yeah, Puppet, exactly. But they'll all basically do the same things with some exceptions. But you can automate the heck out of them, which we love.
I really love SALT security, and that's SALT Stack rather, and that's because they're a sponsor of the show. Just want to throw that out there for our audience. There might be some bias there. There are other options, but one of my coworkers from Tenable works at SALT Stack, and which boosts my faith in the entire company and the product, right? Because I worked very closely with Mehul. He's awesome. He's coming on for an interview, I think, on this show. So you'll get a chance to hear Mayhall, which is going to be awesome. But I really like what they've built. I like their approach, and they're moving, I think, further and further into a security solution, and looking to overcome some of those challenges that, if you've ever, like, I looked at Ansible briefly. I don't know if anyone's done a lot of Ansible, Puppet, or Chef in the past, but it's a commitment, like really a really big commitment, and complicated. And Salt, I feel like, has made that easier. They've kind of lowered the bar to getting your implementation out there. And I was really happy, Sam, that you mentioned it. And so you're using SaltStack to deploy LogRhythm? Is that, or in the deployment process? How are you using it?
Yeah, exactly. So essentially, like I said, we got this new little component, and our solution is, like I said, we're trying to be more flexible. And so what the new instructions are, you go put a minion on all your hosts, right? Whether that are going to be part of LogRhythm. Not every host in your network, right? That's crazy. But just the hosts that are going to be part of your SIEM deployment. You go put a Salt minion on each one of those. And what those will do is they'll phone home, and then you essentially just build out a plan that says, this one's going to be part of my indexing tier. This one's going to be an analytics machine. This one's going to do double duty, as a part of our administrative suite, whatever it is. And then we'll go and deploy it. And what essentially that means is that Salt minion will phone home and just ask for instructions. Which is nice because you don't have to open up any inbound ports on your LogRhythm hosts, which customers complain about all the time, like having these just administrative ports open on their security appliances. So it's all outbound from the Salt minion asking for instructions, and we say, hey, you need to go install this package. It'll go back and install the package. And so that's really just like the table stakes of what it does. It's going to get your deployment out there. But then once it's there, we can do all sorts of incredible things with the Salt technology, right? We can go get metrics from that host.
You can change anything.
Services are running.
Right, and collect anything. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. So are your customers then, like, when you show them how you've deployed LogRhythm, are your customers then kind of looking at Salt and going, wow, this is really cool, like LogRhythm is really cool, and now you've got this cool tool with it? Like, does it go hand in hand?
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, it's something that's coming up here for us in our next big release. So, we're still kind of rolling it out internally, and making sure that all the kinks are worked out before we get it out to customers. But
testing is important. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And we say that, but like, how many of us actually really truly test stuff before we push it out?
Yeah,
you don't have to answer that, Sam. That wasn't for you, because I'm gonna get you in trouble. But
no, man. I mean, one of the things I'm most proud of my team is the automation we're building. So
yeah,
you can ask my team. I do it every day because I do demos every day of this thing. That's my job, is to make people drink the Kool-Aid, spread the good gospel about what we're building, right? And so I'll ask them, hey, I need a 4-host deployment, right? Give me 2 DXs. An AI engine, and a platform manager. And they've got a Terraform script where they hit a button and it's all pulled up in Google Cloud in 10 minutes. And they're like, wow. Hey, here's your key.
Now, describe that for our audience. Describe that technology that you just went through. Like, when you request a demo, what are those various components that are being built, and what do they do?
Yeah, totally. So, we've gone with Terraform, which is essentially like an infrastructure as code. They're a leader in that space. And then we also really are fans of Google Cloud Platform here. That's where our Cloud AI infrastructure runs as well. But essentially what it's doing is it's going out to our code, it's going to Git, and it's grabbing the latest package, and it's building these VMs in Google Cloud Platform based on a set of instructions that we give it. It's feeding the right package to the right hosts, executing some like after install scripts. And the nice part about this is that it's all in code. So nobody has to go out and pull any levers on this thing. It's something that we execute multiple times a day just to make sure that everything's spinning up right. And then from a testing perspective, just beyond demos, once the thing is up and running, you can have it conduct a series of, automated tests, like just throw hell at the thing and make sure it's working right and works under load. And then the cool part is after it's done, it just tears it all down. It's destroyed, and it all runs automatically. We'll do that once a day to make sure that the new code we're checking in, is stable, is secure, hasn't broken anything that we we don't want to break. And then, it keeps costs down on the Google Cloud side too, because it goes up, it does its thing, and then it just gets torn down again automatically.
And that's the trick, though, is how you test and what you test for, right? And constantly writing new tests. And I love that we have DevOps and we've built some in Agile, right? And we see what developers do and are applying that to infrastructure, right? And so we're doing the same thing with our software development that you described you're doing with your infrastructure, right? You spin it up, you test it, you take the results, spin it down, iterate, write some more tests, and then repeat that process. And that's huge. That's huge. So many of us that remember back in the day when you'd stand up a server and there was your server, and if you had to make changes, you went to the server to make changes. And
we like to say cattle, not pets around here,
right?
You don't want to baby this thing along. You want to make sure everything operates exactly the same every time, because if it's not repeatable, then somebody's going to put something funky on there and make it work that one time. But then when it hits the customer in the field, your test doesn't apply anymore. So if it's not repeatable and really generic, then it's not really an accurate test.
And I tell you what, when you move to that kind of an ephemeral environment, you think that works on my machine goes out the window. It's still not true. Like, there are still instances today where an entire container environment will spin up and it'll work great on my system, and then you deploy it somewhere else and you're like, oh, what the hell? Because there's so many variables and configuration in the system, right?
Yeah. No, we go through the same thing. Essentially, we've got this thing going on today where if you've got 4 cores running, it works great.
Yeah.
But more cores, it breaks. It's like, what is that about? I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade, guys. You've gone out of my depth there. But, the tests reveal it, right? We catch that stuff in testing and get to it before it goes out to customers, or at least that's our goal. Something always slips out, but all you can do is make sure that you've tested it thoroughly with the conditions that you expect to see in the field. And then, the field is a crazy place. There's always going to be somebody doing some stupid stuff. We saw something the other day, if you want to hear a funny story.
We do.
Somebody had a little script running on their Windows host that was like a PowerShell commandlet of the day. And so, we do a lot of stuff reading off of standard out, and essentially every day this thing would put out like a random PowerShell script just so you could learn PowerShell. And we had no idea. This was the biggest gremlin, and we could not figure out why the system was screwing up. And someone had gone and put this learn to code PowerShell generator on their machine. And what are you going to do? How do you see that coming? But people put all sorts of stupid stuff on their infrastructure. So
absolutely. Sam, when you're working with do you work directly with customers or kind of right there when they turn it on for the first time?
Yeah, we try to be. I mean, I don't get to do it with every customer by any stretch. What we try and do is, watch people, see how it works out, and see where they get stuck without trying to be too biased and say, "Oh man, that's your fault, user error." What we try and do is interpret everything as the system could be better. Right. If people get stuck, it's because the instructions weren't clear enough. And we always try and take that feedback as a chance to improve.
And a slight tangent. That's a culture thing at LogRhythm that I've noticed, which I think is great. They're always like, we can improve. We need a better experience for our customers, even if the customer's having a good experience. My kind of a take on working with LogRhythm for all these years is you just want an even better experience no matter what, and that's what's going to keep you growing as a company. That's awesome. What's some of the biggest takeaways you've seen? Like, have you spun up an environment from a customer and seen them just have these aha moments?
Yeah, let me think about that. So, it really depends on the customer, right? We deal with folks, like I said, that are running these tiny shops, and it's just them. They're the IT guy, they're the security guy, and they also probably have another job. And then we work with giant multinational corporations that have super sophisticated SOCs. And so, I think what really makes me proud of what we do is when someone gets it fired up and syncs our rules down. That's something that we love, is that our content you can just grab and turn it right on, and they're off and running. I think that's a big difference, is that there's not a whole lot of proprietary, you know, mojo or like secret sauce that you have to know to get LogRhythm up and running. We try and make it pretty easy to just turn the thing on and get it going. I that's not the way it is for everybody, but when it works, it's really cool to see somebody in their first week, firing alarms off, responding to incidents. That's what makes us really happy.
And you kind of have like modules or plugins that people can choose from and just go implement, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's a huge part of our market is folks that need to be compliant for, you said the PCI buzzword earlier, GDPR. We got one of our things that we take pride in is saying, plug us in, get the right log sources, and you're compliant, right? You can produce those reports for the auditors out of the box. You don't have to go write stuff to get the right logs. Am I getting the right logs? We have a whole compliance research team here that just makes sure that, if you're subscribed to that plugin, you've got what you need to handle an audit and respond in compliance situations.
That's awesome. There's the SIEM space, which again, I hate calling it that, but there's a lot of players in this analytics space, right? And, you've got the ones that are more heavy on the network side. You've got the ones that are more heavy on the log side, some that are heavy on the endpoint side. But a lot of people, Elastic, for example, right, is realizing that they have a play in security. Like, finally, I feel like someone at Elastic woke up and said, a lot of people are using this for security. Like, we should probably tap into that, like, multi-billion-dollar market. Like, let's go for it. So what's your assessment working with customers, right? You're probably post-sales deal, right, Sam?
Oh yeah. I'm not in sales.
So they've already chosen LogRhythm, right? But there's other solutions out there. What's your kind of take on your customers going, yeah, we tried to build this ourselves, or we tried something else, but like you said, it kind of just works out of the box more easily with LogRhythm. Totally.
Yeah, no, I mean we've got a lot of love for Elastic. They're a key part of our technology platform. And it's super powerful, and it's just an amazing technology. You can tell that people are sensitive to it. I don't know if you guys saw that Amazon just forked off an Elastic branch.
Yep.
Just to kind of make sure that Elastic couldn't pull the rug out from under them there. The wisdom of that is debatable. I'm sure you guys could chime in on that, but you're right. I mean, they've got a lot of the bare bones that you need. They've got the data, which is number one and far by and away the biggest thing that you have to do this sort of analytics. They've got it, right? It's easy to get into Elastic. It's easy to look at. And so just kind of putting a security UI on top of it, like you said, makes a whole lot of sense. One of the things that I think we still feel comfortable and we're going to continue with is our MDI layer. So essentially taking this data and making sure that it's normalized and enriched is something that, I think Elastic's looking into with their common schema. But that's a big gap, right? Just having the data in sort of a free query format is great. But if you really want to do these like correlations and look for lateral movement within the network, you've got to have it parsed out and normalized to see, logs that are from different log sources that look different, that have different syntax, how they connect together. And so that's where I still feel like we're a leader in the market is in that area.
I agree. So your underlying architecture is unique in is that multiple passes of log events, right? You log everything, store everything, and then you create like a correlation layer, and that's different from the way a lot of other systems work in this space. So that's certainly, when we look at technical differentiators, one that I put in LogRhythm's court squarely.
For sure.
Any other questions for Sam?
Yeah. So as we're talking about, you've got all the data in there and you've got your correlation layer in there. One of the things I've run into from time to time is that the I can't find what I care about or whatever. What often translates to somebody really not willing to dig in and learn how to use the product to query it. What have you got to help people get over that hurdle, to get them really going from, oh, cool data to, look, the cool shit we're doing with the data?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think one of the key things that I'll go back to is our modules, right? So the data, we parse it out according to our schema, and then, which ones do I care about, right? And that comes to the same out-of-the-box content, but it's for analytics rules. So the most core thing we have is just the core module, which is looking for just like basic attacks, like DDoS attacks. It's looking for sort of phishing attacks that we can see. And so even someone who comes in, and what we like to say is, if you have really no security experience at all, you can come in and at least get an inkling of what's going on in your network if you get everything running through LogRhythm without a whole bunch of domain specific or product specific expertise. And then searches are an issue. Like, we have a roadmap to improve our search capabilities into our Elastic data set and our logs in general. There's a couple of things you can do out there to help yourself. We do Lucene queries in LogRhythm, and we've got a little tool that helps people build Lucene queries. But yeah, I mean, we're always trying to improve. Like Paul and I were saying earlier, we're trying to make sure that it's as easy to search for the data you need as possible, because it's all there and it's all normalized for you. So the UI in between you and your data is always the hardest part to tackle.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Sam?
Negative.
Sam, are you ready to play 5 questions with Security Weekly?
Sure.
You better be.
Have you been prepped for this?
No, man. I don't know. I'll give you my honest truth here.
All right. So 5 questions with Security Weekly. There's 5 questions. They're really easy. There's no right or wrong answer. And one of the questions is multiple choice with only 2 possible answers. So we're making it easy for you, Sam. You ready?
All right.
Let's do this. Sam, 3 words to describe yourself.
Fisherman, awake, and hungry.
If you were a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice, Munchie Man?
Oh, circular saw, no doubt.
Wow. There was no hesitation. Did you hear that?
He's been thinking about this one.
Right on that. Oh,
it was
man.
right on that. Sam, if you wrote a book about yourself, what would the title be?
What'd he do this time?
In the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby, do you prefer to go first or second?
Neither. How about second?
Second. There you go.
All right, there it is.
Sam, choose 2 celebrities to be your parents.
Alive, dead,
Alive,
fictional,
dead,
or otherwise.
Or otherwise.
Ooh, okay. 2 celebrities.
Joff trying to steal my thunder.
How about Teddy Roosevelt and Beyonce?
Wow.
Oh.
That'd be quite a pair, right?
Yeah.
That would be quite a
good
pair.
Oh,
Sam,
I'm just talking about Beyonce.
Oh,
Sam,
Nice choice.
thank you so much for appearing on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Excellent. With that, if you like it, you should have put a ring on it. We'll come back with our next interview. Stay tuned.